All right, quick question. How many of you would just walk past this and think this lake is supposed to be here? What if I told you that this is not even supposed to exist? What you're looking at here used to be a farmland. And before that, a giant forest. But now, basically, it's an underwater city full of predators, prey, and life you can't even see. But the really cool part, this is one of two lakes that shouldn't even exist in the same wilderness area. This is Lake Mohegan. We're here in the northeast part of Fairfield, Connecticut, exploring Lake Mohegan today. This area is about 170 acres of pristine, beautiful nature to hang out, enjoy some trails. And fun fact, if you have a dog, this is a great place because it's considered a dog sanctuary. I'm going to hike on one of the numerous trails that they have here. You could chill by the lake. So besides the beautiful trails that you can hike with your dog on off leash, there is a massive ecosystem, an underwater city, if you will, right behind me. And like I mentioned, it's actually in two different places in this wilderness area, which is protected, by the way. So basically, the Mill River flows south through these lakes and then continues on from here. So basically, it's all part of a moving ecosystem. This area is a mix of ecosystems. You got wetlands, you got forests, and in other parts of this area, you have wide open fields. You got trees like oak, hickory, beech, and even some hemlock. You got plants like spice bush, viburnum, and even some dogwood. Hopefully I'm saying all those right. And what's messed up is that some of these areas were actually previously destroyed by mining. But the great part is, nature is actually slowly starting to rebuild itself here. Got a little excited today because it's so beautiful out. And I thought, I don't need a jacket and let me pack some shorts. But I was wrong, it is way cooler over here. I'm glad I brought all that. So we've been here before, but today we decided to try the yellow trail out. The yellow trail is about 2.5 miles. It's a little bit steeper and a little bit more rugged, if you will. But at the end of the day, it's really not that bad. And what's awesome about this is that it's dog friendly. And as long as you're 100 feet away from the parking lot, your dogs can be off the leash. So we brought our dog here today for a hike. She loves this place. So one thing you always want to try to do in places like this is leave it better than you found it. But sometimes you just run into like kind of weird things. Like somebody decided to do this and leave it. Not really sure why, but we'll take that and we'll throw it out on our way out. We'll see what else we can find along the way. If you're really quiet and just stop to listen, you could hear a lot of things going on right now. It's always interesting when you're like on like one of the back trails in the woods. You kind of feel like something's watching you, but you don't really know. When in reality, it's probably like 100 different things watching you. So my absolute favorite thing about coming to this place, it's only about like an hour and 15 minutes or so from New York City, which is really nice, really easy to get to. But the best thing And my real absolute favorite thing about this place is the off-leash walking of your dog. Online, I've heard this place referred to as like a dog sanctuary, which is cool. And on certain days, there's like hundreds of dogs off-leash. But I don't know about every other dog, but I know mine absolutely loves it. So we're finding out the way we started today on this yellow trail is the hard start. It is basically uphill, and we still have a ways to go. That's where we came from. Doesn't seem like much on camera, but if you keep going, it's all right, we'll figure it out. Let's keep going. So after hiking up a little while, you're able to find some cool spots like this one here. It's got some logs and rocks. You could take a break, have some water, chill out, and then you get to see kind of where you came from. I'm going to take you over there now. You go all the way down that way, and down in that valley is where we just came from. So we're going to continue and see where we end up. So water enters from the north through the lake and continues down the spillway. And from there, it just keeps going and going and going. So what that means is that everything, nutrients, pollutants, trash, and other waste flows from the north through all of this into these lakes and eventually further down the line to other bodies of water. So remember, it doesn't stay here. It's just a stop along its way. Think of it like a subway system. You get on the subway at one stop, you ride it a few stops, and you end up in a completely different part of the city that you're in. Well, it's the same concept here with trash, pollutants, etc. Some of it continues on its journey, and some of it makes a stop and gets off. So I want you to think of this lake like layers. Now, I'm not talking like an onion like Shrek. I'm talking top to bottom layers, warm and cold. So you got the top layer, which is warm, full of life, and then you got the bottom layer that's cold and way less oxygenated. Now, depending on what happens within the cycle of water flowing from the north to the south, the water will or will not mix. Some of the things that affect that are how much pollutants in the water, how much oxygen's in the water, how the wildlife is moving, and how the weather changes. If it mixes well, because everything is functioning properly, you're gonna have blooms of life. Things are gonna grow, things are gonna flourish, and things are gonna thrive. But if the water gets stagnant because it's polluted, or too many things enter the waterway, it's not going to mix properly. So it's not going to be able to regulate itself and balance out the nutrients or wildlife. Things are in its own going to get stuck. Side note, before I continue on here, what's really cool is around both of the lakes you can come and there's little areas that you can walk down. Now, I don't recommend touching the water. You should leave things the way they are or the way they're intended to be. But they do, in some areas of this park, allow your dog to swim. And it's actually kind of cute because there are a lot of dogs swimming together, having a blast. I'm going to just show you pretty close up so you can see what I'm talking about, maybe for perspectives of the layers of the lake. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Back in the 1600s, this was dense forest, hemlocks and hardwoods as far as the eye could see. But after that, like anything else, came the people. And that's when the people began clearing these areas to turn it into farmlands. Then in the 1800s, this place became known for something unexpected: spring water. And there was a company called the Mohegan Spring Bottling Company, shipping water from here all over the country. I feel like I'm Survivor Man right now trying to set up this shot. Gonna have to go back for my camera. Okay, so what's up, Kuna? You wanna help me? Come on. Yeah. Are you ready? We're gonna go that way. Yeah. You gonna follow me? Okay. So in the 1900s, that's when everything changed. That's when companies started coming in and using this place as a quarry for gravel so they could start building out roadways like the Merritt Parkway. So remember earlier when I said this lake is not even supposed to be here? Well, that's because it's entirely man-made. Both of them, both of these basins were dug out for gravel to be later used in the construction of roadways. But it's not all bad news. Between 1967 and 1985, the town actually started buying land back and turning this into a protected area, which gave nature and the wilderness a chance to fight back. So what you're actually looking at now is an entirely recovered ecosystem. Pretty cool to think when only in the 1900s you could imagine there was equipment and workers everywhere digging this place up for that gravel. So just a side note, here at Lake Mohegan, when you walk a certain distance, you'll start seeing a fence line. And it keeps going, and it keeps going. And that's to mark the end of the protected wilderness area. So the yellow trail, which is the larger, more difficult trail that we're on today, when we normally do the red one, does follow this path. And you can continue on this way if you want to go a little bit further. One of the other things to note is that there's a lot of ways to enter this place. There are residential homes just outside this wilderness area, so there's a lot of street entrances for people of the community to come here with their dogs or just hike on their own. So there's tons of different ways for you to come in and out of this place. But it's actually pretty cool because each entrance offers a little bit of a different experience depending on what you're trying to do, how difficult, how easy of a day you want to have. Today, we happen to choose the hardest of the trails, but that's okay. Sometimes it's better to go the path least explored, and I believe that's something that we did today, because typically on the red trail, the more casual trail, there are way more people. And today has been pretty quiet, which is great because I could film this video, we could hang out, and we could find beautiful areas just like this. Let's talk about who actually lives here. We got largemouth bass, and these guys are the top predators here. They just hide out and wait for something to pass by them, and then they snatch it up. You got smallmouth bass, and fun fact about them, they're the only species here that is stocked by humans yearly. That's because this area does allow fly fishing and other activities. Everyone's got different hobbies. It's not something that I personally do, but that's why the town stocks it for them. We did see some people fly fishing a little bit back there, but we got out of their way because we're here with the dog, so she's a little excited. And I know a lot of people come here on the weekend to just relax and get away from the hustle and bustle of the city life. So I totally get it. I'm doing the same thing. And we're going through a little bit of an area here. So if you hear me huffing and puffing or you watch me trip, just enjoy. I'm out of shape and I'm on a hike. And it's all right. I'm having a great day. And behind us are those fly fishermen I told you about. They are moving upstream. I guess they didn't have any luck where they were, where we first saw them, so they're moving on. These guys are professionals. I don't know the first thing about fly fishing, and I'm not going to try to learn. But hey, to each his own. So we just continued down the path from the yellow trail, which intersects with the red trail. And this is a pretty cool spot that we usually stop at. It's got a log to sit on, hang out. And you got this bridge here to cross over to the other side of the lake. Sorry, cross over the other side of the river and work your way to the other lake. Some other species that live here are bluegill, pumpkin seed sunfish, yellow perch, chain pickerel, brown bullhead, and even American eels. Yes, somewhere along this river or these lakes are eels. And I think that's pretty cool considering that we are here literally in the middle of the forest. Before we talked about the layers of the lake, that wildlife that I just spoke to you about, the aquatic life in particular, all depends on those layers turning over and over and mixing properly and continuing on, maintaining homeostasis throughout this environment. They literally depend on it for their survival, and without that, none of those guys would actually even be here. So what's cool about this place is this entire area sits in a valley and it slopes on all sides except for one, which is like the entrance, kind of where the parking lot is. That's where they funnel you in from. But it's about a 20% slope all the way around. And because everything sits in the valley, you end up seeing things like this, which is called the Cascades. So water flows from all the way up there and beyond. I don't know if you can see back there, but that's the bridge that we just passed earlier. And it flows down the stream this way, over the falls, over a second set of falls, into another basin. This spot is probably one of the most beautiful places This spot is one of the most beautiful places inside this entire place, and we really love it. And it's a great place to come and take a break after hiking for a little while. And they got all these nice rocks that I pointed out that you could sit on, take a little bit of a break. Let her with her 3-inch legs catch her breath. And then you can just watch other people going by, and you can see all the other dogs running alongside the other bank, which is really nice. But yeah, what do you think about the hike so far?
It's been fun.
Can you say it's difficult, or most people could do it?
Most people, I mean, it's a little challenging, but only if you've like never hiked before.
But would you say that all of it's like super steep, or there's a lot of flat areas for people?
No, there's way more flat areas than steep.
All right, so there you go. It's not that bad, even for first-time hikers. And this is like our second or third time here?
Your third, my second.
All right, my third, her second. And I have yet to hit some of the same things other than like some of the main features like this waterfall or cascade or like that bridge that we saw earlier. But yeah, we're gonna take a break for a few here and then we're gonna continue on. If you check out one of the earlier videos on my channel, you'll see that I talk about the life cycle of the ocean. Well, here it's no different. Here inside this lake are tiny microscopic organisms called phytoplankton, and they're the base to all this. That's the little tiny organisms that we can't see that start the food chain. And eventually it works its way up to the fish, the frogs, the turtles, and so on. But yes, even though we're not by the ocean, there are freshwater phytoplankton right beneath that surface. You can't forget about the amphibians. So some of those amphibians are like painted turtles. Those are the ones that you see from time to time sitting on top of logs like they own the place. You got snapping turtles. Definitely would not mess with those guys. They're basically dinosaurs. And you got frogs, especially bullfrogs. They're like this ecosystem's warning system. If you hear them, it's a good sign. If you don't, you gotta wonder what's happening. Now this is gonna be a pretty weird angle, but it's to get my point across. All right, we have birds. Birds are a big part of this ecosystem, and it's something we have to talk about. So for example, some of the species here are great blue herons. These dudes are straight up assassins. One minute you'll see a fish skimming the surface, next minute, gone. Okay? We also happen to have hawks, owls, various species of duck, and occasionally, which I haven't seen yet, but I would love to see one, bald eagles. But yeah, pretty cool to think that not only is there all this aquatic life, but there's all this life in the sky as well. And here's the thing, they work hand in hand, right? If there's no fish, there's no birds. No birds, it's a bad sign. Usually, like fishermen will tell you, when you see birds circling above, it means that there's a school of fish below. It's no different in the forest and freshwater environment. Unfortunately, a place like this, it's not untouched. Runoffs from the local residential housing above us here in the valley, their waste, their pollution, and places beyond that end up coming down the valley, down to these lakes. Plastics break down into microplastics, fish eat that, and it's just a bad cycle that needs to be stopped or prevented earlier in the chain. Easier said than done, I know, but some of the things we can do is properly dispose of our waste up there at the source. And if it does enter here, when you are here, just pick something up when you get a chance or something you see along the way. It definitely helps and it makes a difference. So this place went from forest to farmland to a mine and now to a restored ecosystem. So the next time you're stepping into a place like this, think about its history, think about where it came from, think about what it is now, and do what you can to protect it. And remember, as always, together we can make a difference, one swell at a time.